Today I got DM back on the channel. We're here to talk about state of the game, Diablo Immortal, and more. I figured we'd get together and just kind of talk about what's going on. So DM, what is going on? How you doing?
Oh man, another day in the Diablo metaverse of us here talking about Diablo every day.
Don't say metaverse. The video will instantly tank with the talk of metaverse, DM. But all right, let's
We
start
have
out right.
legs now.
Yeah, I know. Let's start out with the discussion of Trigger Happy John. He just put out his He Quit Diablo Immortal video. I watched this one. We all kind of knew that he was moving on towards D4 a little bit. He kind of went over his reasons behind it. As you could see, I watched approximately 3/4 of that video.
I have not watched it yet, so you're gonna have to tell me what his reasons were.
I mean, he basically said that he hadn't played in quite a while. He logged back on. I think he said there was like 30, I think he said 30 gigs, maybe he said 3, of updates to do. Then he logged in and it was just lackluster. He had no enjoyment of it and he would rather go back and play Diablo 3. He said it in a much nicer way than I just said, but you know, that was essentially the whole idea behind it. Which is what we've been seeing from all of our content creator friends. My good friend Scrappy, a bunch of your network people as well. It's really of content creators who are full-time, this is what we do for a living. I think it's just you and me left.
Yeah, it's kind of a par for the course. Most people have quit Immortal at this point and moved on. I think D4 is like going to be the next big one, you know? So I think everyone's kind of just preparing for that. I do expect D4 to be fairly large, so I get people wanting to prepare for the D4. Plus it's a full PC game, where it's not just a mobile game, and I think there's a lot of people that probably more people still. What do you think? More people play PC games than mobile still, or you think mobile's taking the cake by now?
No, mobile is taking the cake, man. But I think, yeah, I mean, we know that there's more mobile gamers than any other platform. It's just, are there going to be more action RPG mobile players than PC action RPG? It's a very...
That's a better question.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I used to think that Diablo Immortal would still be strong, that D4 would not be able to touch it. But I recently put out a video about my life circumstances and the job situation, and I was really surprised to see so many people in the comments when I asked say that they were planning on going to D4, that I should really consider making content for it, because it was not in my plan. I was not planning on doing any D4. It was all about Diablo Immortal. But people got me thinking, and I don't know. I think there's going to be a ton of people covering the game, which is, you know, I don't want to dive into like a saturated pool of just more of the same stuff. But if Diablo Immortal is going to, you know, go away or just be highly unpopular.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna. Yeah, to be honest, I feel like some of it is just we're comparing it at its peak during launch to what it is now, and I feel like that's what most people think. So like, oh, it's dead, it's dying, and it's always because like players are leaving. But it's like, well, yeah, whether it's either there's only two options: they either stay in the game or
Right.
they leave. So every time someone leaves, like it's like, oh, people are leaving. It's like, yeah, they're leaving. Like the most people we ever had is going to be at launch, and then it's going to like every mobile game has always done this. So it's for me, it's not hyper surprising that Diablo Immortal is not as popular as it was on launch like a year later. I'm not like shocked by this, and I can see this by the data too in YouTube. So I mean, I can see my views went up on launch, and then they've died down and they've flatlined. You know, like a third to half or whatever as they were on launch. And so I'm assuming the player base is roughly the same, because I can see that data in the searches and volume, etc. So it would make sense that they're approximately the same. So I think what's going to happen, and I made a video kind of breaking down my reasoning behind this, but I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is June's going to come. Lots of people that are playing Immortal are going to try out D4 because it's the new hype thing that happens. And some of those people will stay with D4. But the people that are really only playing the game because they're mobile gamers first, or the people that Immortal is like their first mobile game,
Right.
probably won't transition to Diablo 4. I actually don't believe, because they're very different. I mean, they play differently. Like Immortal is much more of it's a time-gated type of game, much more like clan and community type of focus. And D4 is much more of a, you know, you're blasting through. It's not so much gated, you know, by time and the overall farming and stuff as much as getting the builds completed. So I actually don't see them as like too much of the same demographic. I think they're going to kind of coexist.
All right, and I hope they do. And I do think that Diablo Immortal is great for what it is. Obviously, the same issues that we've had as time has gone on. But I just pulled up right here a little Google Trends sheet. This is what I like to look at.
Yeah.
And I'm doing web search. You know, all of us content creators do it. We'll do YouTube search instead. Actually, you know what? Web search gave us a better look. Diablo Immortal is here in blue. It's all the way at the bottom. Diablo 4 is in red, which is very interesting because the game's not even out yet. And the search traffic is more than Diablo 3, which is sitting here in yellow. And I threw in Albion Online because the lazy Payon or whatever his name is just put out a video kind of re-reviewing Albion Online. I just watched that one today. And the game looks really cool. And I've actually thought of covering that game on the Diablo channel as well in the past. It's the issue is it's another one of those like time sink kind of games. And I don't know that I have the time to do that. Call of Dragons and Diablo Immortal at the same time.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that one.
Not a fan.
Like I don't dislike it. I actually backed the game as the legendary founder, like pre-alpha.
Oh,
And
wow.
then when it came, I got an Android phone literally just to play that game with the Android APK and stuff. So I'm fairly familiar with Albion Online, and mostly because I was a hardcore like RuneScape player. Like I loved playing RuneScape, and Albion Online had some similar type of vibe. So I was very into Albion, from the in kind of concept of the game. But that is an all-in type of game. Like it
Yeah.
is something that you definitely need to be very into like a community for, because the way that the full loop PvP works and the way that like the owning of the territory systems, it's a very snowbally, very community sandbox type of game. So I have a hard time recommending that one to people that are trying to play something like on the side, or if they are playing any other games at all. Like that's a very full focus type of game, and it's for that reason it was hard for me to continue playing it after a while. And plus the way the board system worked wasn't really the way I was kind of hoping the skills would work. I didn't really like the way the combat worked too with the full loop PvP, and so I had some problems with the game. But that it is a good game though. That stuff aside though, I probably wouldn't recommend Albion Online, to be honest with you.
All right, fair enough. I mean, honestly, there is nothing really in the mobile space that could take place at Diablo Immortal right now. It's in my opinion, the best. So with that being said, we kind of know that you're going to be moving on to Diablo 4. Obviously, you'll still be doing Diablo Immortal content as well on your channel. You're going to be playing both?
Yeah, so the way I'm going to handle it is the same way I handled the beta. Is essentially when the beta came out, I just made like a week and a half, 2 weeks of Diablo 4 videos while I was playing the beta.
Yep.
And I'm going to do the same thing come launch. So Diablo 4 launch will come in June. I'm going to make Diablo 4 videos while I'm playing Diablo 4. I'm going to give it like a month in June launch and see how it goes. If none of the videos are picking up, or if I'm horribly uninterested in the game, I'm just going to go back to Immortal. But, if everything's going well and I'm liking the game and the audience is, enjoying it and all that, then what I'll probably do is just cover Immortal news and stuff, and not necessarily play Immortal as heavily. Because I'm still logging into Immortal every day and, trying to do the dailies and all that stuff. And so I'd probably just relax a little bit on that. But, yeah, like you said, it's pretty saturated. There's a lot of people covering Diablo 4, so we'll see how that. I'm also debating like just splitting it and doing it on the Darth channel or something, and doing literally both games at the same time. But playing 2 Diablo games at once is pretty rough. So I'm we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, that is true. I'm going to probably do the same as well. We actually have another beta coming pretty soon, right? In a week or two? Another access?
May 12th. Yeah, so we have 11 days, I believe, is it today?
10 days, at least here in New York. I don't know what it is over there in
Oh yeah, it's the second.
Alaska.
10 days. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm gonna mess with it again. Like the last time it came out, I was all in on not ever playing D4 as a content thing. But I think I'm gonna try a little bit, maybe do some streams. I think I only did one the last time around, but really dig into the game a little bit more, see what I like about it. I know that I liked what it had to show last time around. But let's talk about the state of the game really quickly with Diablo Immortal and just things that you've been liking. I actually did the Accursed Towers yesterday on stream, because I streamed yesterday for the first time in a while. And the PvE element of it was actually kind of fun. I got together with a couple of friends. We ran around, killed things, got the shards, and got a bunch of rewards for doing it. It was cool, but one of the topics that came up was there's just so many things to do on a daily basis for someone that only puts an hour into the game every single day. There's just a lot of stuff to do. It's like, it feels like busy work a little bit, I guess. Having to do the Accursed Towers, do your shadow contracts. If you're an immortal, God bless you. doing your dailies, running the gauntlet, raiding the vault, all this kind of stuff, just to keep up with the grind stuff that you should be doing every single day. Not even like getting into, not even doing PvP, which I really don't do at all anymore. Do you feel that it's getting to be too much inside of the game, or do you think it's good so that the people that are diehards and spending 5 hours a day playing, they have stuff to do all day? Or do you think it's too much where it becomes overwhelming for players that don't have that kind of time?
I mean, it doesn't feel like crazy to me.
No?
Like if you want, if I think there's a difference between the stuff that you like probably should do every day and then everything there's available to do in a day. Like they're like two different things, and
Okay.
I feel like they kind of get pushed into each other. Which is that if the things that you should really do every day is just log in, maybe your 3 dungeons, get your free legendary from the bestiary, kill an orange, get a legendary there. Um, and I mean that's really about it. You can claim your free rare crest from the thing. There's like a few things to do. I feel like that takes like an hour maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do in a day. It's like, do you want to go do all your bounties? Do you want to go do a contract? Do you want, what? So depending upon how much you want to min max is going to separate the people that play the game a lot versus the people that play the game casually. And I don't think it's necessarily bad to have available mechanics in the game to enable that separation of grinders. I think that's also part of what makes Diablo. Like if the people couldn't grind, if the only way in this game to separate yourself was the pay to win aspect of it, the game would be even worse than it is. So you need the ability to actually be able to grind enough and have enough things to do that you can look at somebody and be like, that person obviously plays the game a lot outside of just spending a fuckload of money. Like I myself, if you look at my stats, I don't have as much blacksmith upgrades because the last few months I just haven't been sitting there playing 10 hours a day. So there's a very obvious difference between like me and the other people that have been playing 10 hours every single day. You can just see it in the stats. So is there too much to do? Yeah, maybe. But if there wasn't, we would be complaining that there isn't. So I'm not really that worried about that. There's a lot of stuff to do personally.
That's fair. That's a fair way to put it. So what would be your top 5 things that you have to do every day? You get yourself an hour's time.
If I got an hour, I'm probably picking up my rare crest. I definitely like getting my bestiary every day. I definitely like getting the orange legendary drop every day. I like getting like the guarantees. Like right now, I do 3 dungeons, I get a green item. Like I like
Mm-hmm.
doing the guarantees because it gives me a little bit of dopamine. I like getting, if I vault, doing a vault and then taking that gold and gambling at the antiques dealer every day because it gives me a chance another one of those. Hitting up the daily hilts trader, and if I'm an immortal, doing whatever my immortal activities are. That's about it. I don't go too ham on everything. You can go down the list of a bajillion other things of doing all your hidden layers and getting all your normal gems, which will make you way stronger. Or you can just chill and play the game at your own pace, which is pretty much where I'm at with it now.
Okay. And so then what's the reason, right? Like if you're just logging on, if people are just logging on to do the dailies because they feel like they have to do them, what are we actually doing them for? Like, is that the
I like the
enjoyment?
game.
So the enjoyment is doing the dailies, or are we doing it
Yeah, I
for
mean,
another
people
reason?
like the game. Like I think it's fairly rare that somebody fucking hates a game and logs in to play it every day. Like, I just
True.
don't think that really happens. I think they'll do it if they feel like they have a sense of community and they don't want to lose the people they're playing it with. I've played games I do not like for way longer than I would have because I have friends that play them for sure. But
Yeah.
I think for the majority of the time, if someone doesn't like a game, they're just not going to play it. In fact, I think that's why there's so many millions of dollars spent trying to figure out retention in games too, is to keep people playing the games. And that's why we have these psychological tricks in the games to keep you in the game as long as possible. It's a very competitive industry just to keep people into the game. So I think this concept of like, the game's trash, but we're all playing anyway. It's like, no, we all like the game. Like, I mean, I don't know pretending why we're not. We're playing the game. We like the game. It's just we want something new, or we're getting a little bit bored, and now you're starting to get to the point where you're pot committed fallacy, where you've spent so much time, so much money, whatever in the game. that you feel like you are now bored, but you're staying longer than you want because you're like, well, it's going to become the next game that I want it to be, but really what you want is an entirely different game. Like I see this happen all the time,
Hmm.
where people are just, it's okay to have a game expire for you. Is the other thing. Like if you're done with the game, that's fine. Like there's absolutely no, people can leave the game at any time and go try a new game. It never has to be this big deal, but I've seen this happen many times in games. So that's just kind of my take on it. It's like if you're playing the game every day, you probably like it. If you get bored of it, then fucking quit. Play something else. Like
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
I think that we, or I'll speak for myself as a content creator, you know, like I played Clash of Clans for 7 years, you know, like every day. And I think that we, or I, tend to assume that people really invest in these games for the long haul. And really, especially in mobile, there's a lot of people that really are just here for a little while. They get their enjoyment out of it and they move on to something new, especially with these free to play things that they can quickly uninstall and install something new in its place. And obviously, we get the people that stick around for the long haul and are around every single day for years. But I think audience changes all the time. And it's just something that we often, just as you and I doing this as our daily thing, like this is what we do for work, you know, we're not going anywhere. But a lot of other people are in different shoes and different boat. But your channel's been doing well also, man. I see you're almost at 75,000 subs. Maybe a silver plaque in the future.
Maybe one of these days, dude, I'll join the big boys like you with one of those on my wall. But yeah, it's actually pretty crazy. The subscribers just passed the main channel finally, so it's at 73.2, and the main channel's at 73.1. I think last time I looked. So
Congrats, man.
it's like, oh, cool. Okay, we're finally there. I guess this channel is the bigger of the ones now. But you know, to your point, real quick about the audience is, you know, there's a lot of new people typically. That's
Hmm.
pretty true. I mean, if I look at my data right now, it tells me 54% of the people that watch my channel, they're not subscribed. And it's probably very similar for you. And
It's
a
more.
lot of those are unique viewers. So what ends up happening is there's a lot of new people that search up the channel for guides and stuff, and we'll just find like a Crusader guide or Gem guide or whatever. Like there's a lot of those people still coming, and I see a lot of those people are coming from Google. Like they're not on the YouTube ecosystem already. They're literally Googling this type of answers. So I know there are still new people playing, and I definitely saw a jump in terms of search patterns once the D4 beta happened. So I
Sure.
also talked about this in the previous video where it's like I think if D4 does really well and a whole bunch of new people start looking at Diablo, there could be people that don't like D4. They then start looking at other Diablo games like Immortal. And I literally like, oh, there's a mobile version of Diablo. I liked my first Diablo game ever, which is Diablo 4. Let me try the mobile one. Like the game could literally get bigger,
Hmm.
you know, on launch of D4. Because D4 I think is going to be very large to the point of it's making the whole Diablo franchise itself having a little bit of a spotlight on it. So I don't know the answer to how that's going to influence Immortal, but it will be curious to see because there's a lot of ways it could go.
Yeah, it can rejuvenate the whole franchise, which could help all the games across the board, which is cool. And I think you made some good points there. I'm looking forward to playing D4 myself. I'm a little bit excited as we get forward towards that. Gonna give it another go this time around. Maybe we'll play together again as well, because that was always fun, guys. If you haven't checked out DM, it's DM Diablo Immortal. Let's get the man to 100,000 subscribers. He's getting close. It's gonna be closer than you think, man. Maybe D4 hits off and you just blow up and you get that plaque
Yeah,
on the
well,
wall. New setup.
one can hope. One can hope, Echo.
Yeah, you'll get there, brother. But thanks for coming through today. I appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the
man.
video. Make sure you sub and do all that stuff. See you later. Cool. End it right there.